A couple of episodes ago, I experimented with an old satellite dish. I wanted to see if it could be made into a workable over-the-air TV antenna. Well, this antenna build was extremely popular, so I did a follow-up episode. That episode has generated even more interest and feedback, so here I am with episode number 3. Let's hop to it. When I started this project, I really had no idea if I could make this work, but it seemed like something interesting to try. After playing around a bit, I was able to get a workable TV antenna that actually pulled in a station over 60 miles from my location. The element I made was just a simple 7-inch hoop that I flanned into a folded dipole antenna. I can tell you for certain that an antenna like this is normally not even close to picking up a signal from that distance. So I figured something had to be helping, and I think it had to be the parabolic dish. After I posted the original video, it stirred up a whole lot of comments and controversy. It also generated a bunch of further ideas for mods and tweaks, so I published a second episode. I took some of the more interesting ideas everyone gave me and I tried them on the antenna, and some of them actually helped. But these episodes continue to be very popular, and I'm still constantly getting input and ideas and a lot of criticism on the entire project. Since everyone seems to still want me to develop this dish antenna, I figured I'd better pull it back out and see what I could do with it to maybe improve it. I honestly did not expect to make a serious over-the-air antenna from this, and I was quite surprised that it worked as well as it does, but I was never quite happy with the element that I had made. Hoops are great in that they are easy to construct, inexpensive to make, don't have to be super precise in dimensions, can be made to be multi-directional, and work very well for receiving a wide range of frequencies. Their biggest drawback is that normally they don't have a great reception range. Most basic hoop antennas are limited to about 30 to 35 miles from the TV transmitter. I've previously shared some of my designs that can extend the hoop's reception and gain, and if you haven't watched those episodes yet, I really recommend that you do. Anyway, for this antenna, I was never quite sure that the hoop antenna that I used was the best match for the dish. After thinking about it, I've decided to try using a fractal element instead. I've had numerous requests over the past couple of years to try using fractal elements in my antennas, but as of yet, I haven't. I do know that fractal antennas are used quite a bit in electronics, particularly cell phones, so I'm thinking they must have some validity. Alright, the first thing I do is remove the existing antenna element and matching transformer from the mount. In the last episode, I found out that the optimum mounting distance to the dish face was 23 inches, so I will mount the new antenna element in the same location. This design uses a reflector. Supposedly, this acts not only as a signal reflector to enhance reception, but it also blocks unwanted transmissions that could cause interference. In the last episode, I found the optimum distance from the reflector to the antenna element was 4 1/2 inches, so I will mount the new reflector at that distance. I get some 10 gauge copper Romex solid wire. I like 10 gauge because in my tests it outperforms the thinner gauge wire by a significant amount, but stepping up to 8 or 6 gauge didn't make any appreciable improvement. I cut two 18-inch lengths. I need to carefully remove the wire insulation, so I use a razor knife to shave it away. The rest of the insulation then strips away easily. In order to make these wires into the fractal shapes I first need to straighten them out a bit. The best way to do this is to lock one end of the wire in a vise, chuck the other end into a drill motor, and while applying a decent amount of back pressure, slowly twist the wire. I use just enough twisting to get most of the kinks and wobbles out. The more you twist the wire, the weaker it becomes, and I need to do quite a bit of bending on the copper to get to the required shape, so I'm careful not to go crazy twisting it. Next, I have to create the fractal design. By the way, fractals are complex repeating patterns like the inside of many seashells or the pattern of a snowflake. In an antenna, they are used to make larger elements more compact while allowing them to receive multiple bands and increasing gain. For my antenna, I will be creating two identical elements. I take the wires and measure 9 inches to the middle of each. I measure 1 inch on either side of this. Next, I take one of the wires and using needle nose pliers, I make a sharp bend in it. I form it to roughly 60 degrees. I use this pattern I printed to make sure I'm close. I will tweak the angles when I'm finished, so right now it doesn't need to be precise. Now I measure down 1 inch from that bend, and using the pliers, I make a more shallow outside bend. I measure down another inch, then make another 60-degree bend. I'm going to repeat this pattern like this. I alternate forming the angles on either side of the original angle to keep everything symmetrical. I repeat the process until I have a 5-star pattern with 2 longer whiskers, like this. It kind of looks like Lisa Simpson. Okay, not as many points, but you can see the resemblance. I repeat the process on the second wire element and tweak them both until they are almost perfect copies of each other. They did get slightly off plane, so a couple of whacks with a rubber mallet against my concrete garage floor straightened them right out. I have to make the mount. I cut a 3-inch long piece of 1 1/2 inch wide PVC lumber. Now I measure to the center of the piece and drill a pilot hole. This will be used to secure it to the rest of the mount. Next, the elements are secured on either side of this hole using 1/2 inch latch screws that are installed 3/4 of an inch from each side. I square the elements up, then snug the screws down securely. The antenna element will now be larger than the original hoop element, so I have to redo the reflector. I like using 1/2 inch hardware cloth as it's fairly inexpensive and does a good job. This stuff will slice up your hands, so I use gloves while working with it. I cut a piece that is 6 1/2 inches wide by 16 inches long. I use the edge of my work surface to bend the outer edges along the length to try to stiffen the screen up a bit. I cut a piece of the PVC board to 3 3/4 inches long and use 2 1/2 inch latch screws to secure the reflector to it. Next, I use a 1 1/4 inch screw to mount the element board to the front of it like this. Here's the completed antenna element. I've installed a matching transformer and I've put in 2 1 1/4 screws to attach it to the rest of the antenna mount. I assemble everything and haul it all up to my antenna's test room. As usual, I will be running everything through the Umatic tuner whose output is attached to this on-brand TV via an HDMI cable. I have a few things I'm going to see if this modified dish antenna can accomplish. Number 1. How many stations will this antenna receive? Number 2. How is the overall signal strength compared to the original element? And number 3. Can I receive channel 7, whose transmitter tower is 70 miles away? The original hoop antenna element was able to pick it up, but it was weak and difficult to lock in on. I aligned the dish in the same direction that I had tested the original setup and start a channel scan. The initial results are promising. The new element is receiving 52 channels, which is actually really good. The original element had regularly picked up 46 channels and at one point had a high of 56 channels received, but many of those were weak and pixelated. With the Fractal element, all of the channels received are clear and stable, and that includes my 2 local VHF high band stations. Next, I'll analyze signal strength. If I compare the results of the old antenna, the reception is at least equal in strength, while some of the weaker and more distant stations are averaging 2 to 6% stronger. Finally, I check out channel 7 reception. According to the charts, this transmitter is almost 70 miles away from me and has some terrestrial interference blocking the signal. With the older element, I had to override the channel scan and do a manual search for the station, but now channel 7 is strong enough for auto scanning to pick it up. Using the old element, I had a hard time getting a signal in the low 40%. Now with a bit of adjusting, I'm getting right around 50% signal strength and a very clear and stable picture. So that's basically it. This converted dish is doing a very good job. It picks up all the regular channels I normally receive, and it's able to receive a strong signal from a station almost 70 miles away. Naturally, people ask if I'm going to permanently install this as my new antenna in my house. Although I am impressed with what this does, I've built and posted smaller and lighter antennas that fit my particular needs better. In fact, I'm currently working on my latest antenna that's showing some really good initial results. Hopefully I'll have that build episode posted soon. As far as this dish antenna, I'm putting it back into storage, at least for a while. Hey, can you please give that like icon a high five? I'd really appreciate it. Jingle the notification bell too, and subscribe to my channel. Also, keep up your great comments and ideas. I truly look forward to seeing what you all have to say. Well, most of the time. Until next episode, keep watching TV.